definitely want to have, so this is question number 2. We have to do by completing the square. Yeah, in fact, maybe I won't start with the quad. Just go ahead and do it by completing the square. See what you remember. So I don't want to get you confused. You're not supposed to use completing the square. You could to check, but just go ahead and do completing the square. Anybody remember anything? No. What do we do? Yeah, half of the middle term squared. Yeah, I would probably start by first moving this 1 over. You don't have to. But yeah, you've got the right idea, Charles. That's it. So I'm going to move that negative 1 over, becomes a positive 1. Just create a blank. So remember, step 1, get a blank. Well, that's not really important. I'm not even going to write that down. But yeah, you're right. You grab the middle term. Remember this? Grab the middle number, go over to the side, put it over 2, and square it. That's how you find the completing number. Remember that section? You take whatever's in the middle, put it over 2, parentheses, squared. So what does that equal? 49/4, right? Square the 7, square the 2. 49/4, and then what do you do with that 49/4? Add it to both sides. Add it to both sides. Add 49/4 to both sides. So we haven't changed anything, right? You can bring anything new you want as long as you do it on both sides. They were equal before, you treat them the same. They got to still be equal afterwards, right? Now, why are we doing that? Because the left side, those 3 terms on the left now, will factor. 2 parentheses, guaranteed. So that left side, those 3 terms on the left, will factor. That's what that special number does for them. It completes them. It gives them just what they need, so they'll factor as the same thing twice. So what's it going to be? Yeah. Remember, the number in the parentheses is the number in the parentheses. Same sign, same everything. Daniel. Okay, so that's when you have, good question. Dan's question is, why don't we just get rid of the fraction? We could, well, no, your question's a good one. When you're completing the square, it's a special thing where you don't want anything in front of x squared. And you see if I multiplied through by 4, I would put a 4 there. Yeah, good question. The completing, you can't have any number in front of x squared, or that completing number won't complete. It won't do what it needs to do. Yeah, good question. We don't want anything in front, so we'll stay with the fraction. All right, so this is going to be plus 7/2 plus 7/2.
Is it always going to be the same sign?
Yeah, it's the same thing twice. Because that way, on the next line, we can say squared. Completing the square. So it's got to be the same exact thing twice.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if that 7 was -7, you don't carry the negative over to the side. And
You would. Good question, Karina. Yeah, if that 7 was -7, I would have it here. But this would still come out positive, wouldn't it? Because a negative squared is positive. But in the parentheses, this guy would be negative because what's in the parentheses, same sign, same everything, goes in the parentheses. So it would show up there, although the 49/4 would still be positive. Maybe we'll do a -1. Sorry, that's confusing, huh? I'm changing it, man. Well, you look down for 1 minute, the whole problem changes. No, it's positive. Yeah, it's all positive.
Okay.
Good to there? Now, what's the right side?
it's 1 over 1.
Yeah, make this, put 1 over 1. How do we add fractions over there? Common denom, right? Multiply top and bottom by 4. That's 4/4 plus 49/4. That's 53/4, isn't it? We good so far? Remember this? It's coming back?
No.
It's never happened. Now, why are we doing all this? Well, we're trying to solve for x. We're trying to solve for x. Do you see what we can do now? We can, because we have that parenthesis 2 power, how can we get rid of all that? Root it. Yeah, that's why we like to make a parenthesis 2 power, because we can handle it with a big root. But when you put a roof on the house, you got to go up and down the ladder. Plus and minus, right? Rooting cancels squaring. So x plus 7 halves is plus or minus. Now, what do you do with that square root? Am I racing ahead of you? You with me? See how that square root is over the entire fraction on the right? So that means you put the root on the top and the root on the bottom. But what is the root of 4 on the bottom? That's just 2. Now we've almost got x alone. Last step to get x alone. Just jump that 7 halves over. So x equals negative, becomes a negative 7 halves, right? Plus or minus square root of 53 all over 2. That's the method of completing the square. Now you can check your answer if you want, if you have time. I don't know if you have time for everything. You could do the quad. Maybe I'll do the quad real quick just to show it's the same answer. Question, Daniel?
I never really understood why the top part keeps the square root over it, like 53. It can't be squared so it stays like that?
Yeah, so good question. So the root goes to the top and the bottom, first off, right? Because the root's over the whole fraction. So that means the root's on both. But you can't root 53. So the root tries to root the top, but it can't.
So it root, it just stays like that?
Right. Well, I mean, how about I answer your question with a question? Why would I ever get rid of it? We can't just like erase it because we're in the mood, right? It only goes away when it does its thing. You know what I mean? Like the square root of 4 is 2, isn't it? So that's how it went away. It really did the root. Does that make sense? And you can't do the root on the top, so it stays. Does that seem a little more natural? Make a little more sense out of it? Yeah, because we simply can root the bottom. So we do. The root of 4 is plain 2, isn't it? So that's how the root goes away. You do the root. But you can't root 53 because it's not rootable. Good question. I know a lot of people have that question. Does that make more sense then? Anything you can root, you do it and the root vanishes when you do the root. We good? So this is the answer. Questions on that? So what if I did so here's how you could check it real quick. I mean, I don't know if you have time for this. I wouldn't do this unless you get stuck. If you get stuck and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting stuck. You could always just do the quad real quick. You know what I mean? A is 1, B is 7, C is -1, negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. This will give you the same answer. But you can't just do this, or I won't give you credit for the problem. Because I want to see that you can complete the square. I'm not just trying to be torturesome. There's, if you go to higher math, there's things completing the square can do that quad can't. So there's a purpose to having that skill. But you can check your work with the quad. So let's do that. So -7 plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. And so that's -7 plus or minus square root of 49. Minus plus minus, 2 minuses? Plus 4 over 2. See, there it is. -7 plus or minus 53 over 2. See, they're both over the 2. So same thing as 2 separate 2's, whatever, same thing. See how I got the same answer as we did by the quad? Or by the completing the square?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where did you get those 2's in the parentheses? So
2's.
Underline 2, 7 over 2, and then the second power.
Do you mean, are you talking about right here?
Does it come from the square?
no,
Up
side.
to the left.
The first
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's always what you do.
So it's
And-
always going to be a 2.
It's always going to be a 2. You take the middle number. Yeah, so the rule is middle number. It's always going to be the middle number also. Not the front one, not the back one. Middle number over 2 squared. That will always be the completing number. Does that make sense? You want to try one of those? We have so many things to do. I don't know if I want to do 2 of any one problem, but maybe we'll do one quick. Does that make sense? It's always middle number over 2. All right, let's try one. How might make one up here? X squared minus 3x plus 7 equals 0. There we go. Solve by completing the square. You've got 30 seconds. There's just a million other things I want to show you with our limited time. Maybe I'll give you 35 seconds. All right, we doing good? So jump that 7 over, grab that minus 3, put it over 2, and square it. We good? So number in the middle over 2 squared, that's going to be 9/4 positive. The completing number is always positive, isn't it? Even if originally it was negative, after squaring it's always positive. So jump the 7 over. So what do we got? X squared minus 3x. The other side is the negative 7. He changes signs when he jumps, of course. And then we bring in this add 9/4, add 9/4, right? To both sides. Now that left side, these 3 are guaranteed to factor. They will factor. 2 parentheses, in other words. X is in the front. Now, how do you know how they factor?
What is the half of that?
Number in the parentheses is the number in the parentheses. So if you follow my exact format, to where I put the number on the side, over 2, as Erica said, parentheses squared, and then next line, square the top, square the bottom. If you show that exact step, it'll help you, because then the number in the parentheses will be the number, the factor number, in parentheses. So this will be minus 3/2, minus 3/2. You tracking with me? Number in the parenthesis is same sign, same everything. I mean identical, even with his sign. If he's got no sign, he's plus. He's got the minus, so this one's minus. Right? You seeing that pattern? And then work out the right side, common denominator or add them up kind of thing. You're almost there. So the other side, this is over 1, top and bottom by 4. So that's minus 28/4 plus 9/4. What is that? Minus 19/4? And the other side is x minus 3/2 squared. That's why we did it, to complete it as a square, to make it a square. A 2 power. All right. Now, how do we get, we good? We got up to there? It's making sense? Am I racing ahead? Questions to this point?
Did you accidentally make that 19, or did I miss something? 19 squared?
Minus 28 plus 9.
Oh, I see. Because I multiply the product instead of multiplying the base. Minus 3, I multiply the 9/4. So that's what I get.
Making sense? We good to hear? Now what do we do? Roof on the house.
Root both.
Root both. Yeah. So we root it, and then up and down the ladder when you put a roof on the house, plus or minus. Rooting cancels squaring. So we get x minus 3 as is plus or minus. Now, what happens with that root on the right side? A couple things. What does a negative inside of a root do? Kicks out an I just to the front of the root. And the root's over the whole fraction. So like Daniel was saying, square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. Right? And what is the square root of the bottom? What is square root of 4? That's just 2. Anything we can root, we do. And then the root vanishes when it does its job. Square root of 4 is just plain 2. No more root. But you can't square root 19, so the root just stays up there. We can't do anything more with it. Last step. Jump over the negative 3/2, becomes a positive 3/2 on the other side. We're done. Just jump it right to the front. We'll be fine. So it's 3/2 plus or minus I root 19/2. Did it. Did it, done it. It's over. We completed the square. So that'll be the very first question I hand you on Monday. All by itself, just to show me that work. Is that good? Questions on that one? Okay, so the base of a triangle is 12 more than twice its height. Area is 42. I'm gonna write that out. Base of a triangle is 12 more than twice the h, the height. Right? 12 more than twice its height. Area, 42. And they want the base and height? Yeah, they want the height and the base. All right. So let's try that. So the base of the triangle is 12 more than twice the height. Area is 42. Find the height and the base. Base, I'll just call it B. So B, the base of the triangle, is 12 more than twice the h, the height. Area is 42. So what you want to have on your 3x5 card for the exam, you want to make your 3x5 card as you do the practice exam, because everything's on there. I promise there'll be nothing on the real exam that's not on the practice, so that'll get you ready. So what's the formula for the area of a triangle? Anybody remember that one?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. That's different than the Pythagorean, which we'll get to later. That's a squared plus b squared plus c squared. That's Pythagorean. That's the three sides. This is area, space in the middle of the triangle. Daniel?
I have a question to show you something. I have a question for like the area of length.
Okay, so let's write out our formula. So the area, that's 42, is 1/2 base and height. What can we do there? What can we put in for B? 2 height plus 12. Right? The base is 12 more than twice the height. Or actually, yeah, if you just want to use x for everything, that's okay too. Does that make sense what I did there for the B? So the h is still over there on the right, but the B is now 2 height plus 12. Is that good? Okay, so now can you solve that thing? Let me give you a second. So what do I do to get rid of, so we want to get rid of that, whenever we have fractions, we want to get rid of them. What do I do to get rid of that fraction? Yeah, multiply by 2 cancels. 2 times 42, 84 is 2h plus 12 times h. Everybody see what happened there? I just multiplied both sides by 2 because I wanted to get rid of that fraction. It canceled out the fraction on the right side. 2 times 42 became 84 on the left. Is that good? That's what we do when we have fractions, huh? We just multiply both sides and it cancels out. And now we can distribute this h. So we get 84 is 2h squared plus 12h. So what do we do now? Yep, got to get a 0, huh? Whenever we have x squared or h squared or whatever, get a 0 exactly. So jump that over. So we get 0, 2h squared plus 12h minus 84. And then, you know what I would do next? Just now we have to factor, right? But to make this a little easier, you know what you could get rid of? What goes into all those numbers? 2. Yeah, just divide, or just factor out the 2 first. Yeah, so go ahead and start factoring. First, take out the 2. Yeah, take the 2. You know what I mean with the one big parenthesis? H squared plus 6h minus, which is not 84, it's 42. Very good. Bring it up here.
So do this one again.
And then can you factor from there? Just use your calculator. Take 42 and try dividing by different numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, till you get a couple numbers that'll work. You know what I mean? If you're looking for to factor something and it's, oh, I don't think any of them work, do they? No, we're going to have to go to the quad. Yeah, no, this I thought it would factor. I'm realizing now this is a terrible problem. We've got to quad it. Now, really, it would have been okay if you left that 2 in there. Like you could have just done, I didn't mean to erase there. You could have just done the quad on this one, or we can just do the quad on this one where A is 1, B is 6. Yeah, am I confusing you? So here, let me go back here. Yeah, let's just divide out that 2. Say, I would divide by 2 instead of factor out 2. It's the same thing. It just gets rid of it completely. You know what I mean? So that's 0 is h squared. Sorry, mine's getting all messed up here. So let me go back. I'm dividing by 2. Like that.
We don't have to do that, right?
You don't have to. You could go in, it'll make the quad a little easier, but you could do the quad straight from the other numbers. Yeah, just go into the quad now. So I'm going to go into the quad. 0, what is it? H squared plus 6h minus 42. So now it's quad time. I'm going to just wrap this one out. This has been a long problem here. A, B, C, we got to get down to other things. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay, so it's negative 6 plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. So what do we get? 36 plus 168 all over 2. What's that? 190, 204? Did I do that right? Okay. Then they just want decimals on this one, I think. Let's go back and see what they asked for. They say, what do they say? Where's the question? I don't even know where the question went. Right? So take that 204, break it down. 2 times 102, which is 2 times 51. Okay, so this is so the square root of 204 is 2 root 51. Does everybody see that? I think on the test, I'll probably just ask you for a decimal. If I just ask you for a decimal, you can just type this into your calculator and just get the decimal, you know. But this problem wants an exact answer. So square root of 204 is 2 root 51. So this becomes negative 6 plus or minus 2 root 51 over 2. Now remember how that works? What do?
But you don't divide the 6 and the 2?
You do. But you have to do all three, remember?
Yes.
This one, and this one. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So I get minus 3 plus or minus root 51. It's a lot of work, isn't it? Now, we're still not done. That's two answers, right? One of those is baloney. Do you see it?
Yes, the negative can never be.
So it's negative 3 plus root 51 and negative 3 minus root. This cannot be. That would be negative. That'd be a negative and more negative? No way. This is height. Remember, this all came from this h equation here? So this is height. The height can't be negative. So the height must just be the positive option, minus 3 plus root 51. There's no more denominator because it became a 1, right? So that's the height. What's the base? Back to the problem. The base is 12 more than twice the height. The base is 12 more than twice the height.
So it's negative 2.
In fact, there's the formula for base right there, right? 2h plus 12. I'm tired of this problem. I don't want to mess around anymore.
It's not
But
have any other test.
the base is 2h plus 12. So I got to take all of this, plug it in there for h. You tracking with me?
Where we are? Base equal to h.
Plus 12. We got that from back here. Remember back when we first put it in? So they said the base is 12 more than twice the height.
Minus 2 equals.
Plug that in. I'm kind of out of room here. I'm out of room, out of time. This is ridiculous. Minus 3 plus root 51.
You can back to minus 8.
And the base is 2 times the height plus 12, right? Yep. All right, let's wrap this thing up and be done. In it goes. Minus 3 plus root 51 plus 12. That's the base. Boom, boom. Minus 6 plus 2 root 51 plus 12. Minus 6 plus 12 minus 6 is 6 plus 2 root 51. There's the base. There's the height. So that's something you want to practice for yourself over the weekend on a blank piece of paper until you can do it yourself without
Mr.
notes.
Aaron, but
Yeah.
in the beginning, we
Not square, because in the end it's not area. They're asking height and base. We used area, but they didn't ask for area in the end. So in the end, just give them what they started with. All right, so do you remember how to do the fourth? So I definitely need, these are important. How do we do these fourth power ones?
Substitute with an actor.
W's in the middle, W squared in the front. Remember that? There's a lot of hard things on this exam. It will not come to the casual. You got to intentionally practice these things. So let me write a note for you. Let me write out the problem. So P fourth. This is number. Whoop, keep going back and forth. What number is it? 5. Okay. P to the fourth minus P squared minus 20. Okay. So so when you have like something to the fourth, W in the middle, W squared in the front. Remember that? Remember when we would do a substitution? I called it an actor, plays the role. So the middle becomes W. The front becomes W squared. It's like an actor steps in. Why? Because that makes the equation easier. See how that's the easier equation? It's just W squared now. It's not so big. The fourth power. So the deal is W is playing the role of P squared. Now we're going to have to go back to P in the end. But in the middle, we're going to use W. So W plays the role of the middle, which is P squared. And then since the front is P the fourth is twice as big as P squared, if the middle's W and the front's twice as big, it's got to be W squared, doesn't it?
yes.
Okay, so now, so step 1, W in the middle, W squared in the front. Step 2, solve for W. So how do you solve this W equation? Factor that thing. Yeah, 5 times 4 makes 20. How do the signs go? Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Minus 5 plus 4, right? That'll make minus 1 in the middle. Positive times negative, multiply by negative 20 at the back. And then you know how this goes, right? Set each one equal to its own 0, because if two things multiply to be 0, either one could be 0 to make that true. So it's positive 5 or negative 4. But that's not the end of the problem. That's the end of the actors acting. Now we got to go back to the original letter. Kind of like if you watch a movie and it's based on a real story, and afterwards you go, hey, I wonder what really happened with that. And you go online afterwards and hear the rest of the story or the real story. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we used an actor in the middle, W. W in the middle, W squared in the front. When do you do this? When do you do this? When you got a big old whopping fourth power. So make note of it in your 3x5 card. There'll be like one question on Monday with a fourth power. You got to put W in the middle, W squared in the front, solve W. Then when you're done with that, the actor's done, the movie's over, go back to the real person. W's just an actor. He's not the real person. So W, who was he taking the place of all along, really?
P2.
The middle. The middle, which is P2. Yeah, it's always the middle. W is always in the middle. So then you go, okay, that W equals 5 means P squared is 5. And W equals negative 4 means P squared is negative 4. Because W is just an actor standing in the place for P squared. Now finish for P. So that's step 3. Solve for original letter, whatever that may be. So now solve for the P. So how do we get P alone then? Yeah, roof on the house, up and down the ladder. P is plus or minus square root of 5. Roof on the house, up and down the ladder. P is plus or minus. We do that negative in the root there. Out comes an I. Square root of 4 is 2. I2 or 2I, either way is totally good. It's multiple choice in the test. Just grab it. It'll be 2I. Plus or minus 2I and plus or minus root 5. Done. Is that good? So when you have a fourth power, call in the actor. W takes the middle, W squared in the front, solve W, go back to the original letter, finish it up. Questions? Me and my son's cleaning the house. My wife would laugh. Father and his son can clean the house together in 6 hours. When the son works alone, it takes him an hour longer to clean than it takes his dad alone. Find how long it takes the son to clean alone. All right, working together problems. There's a certain formula, remember? 1 over A plus 1 over B is 1 over together. So there'll be one working together problem on the test Monday. 1 over A, put that in your 3x5 card. 1 over A plus 1 over B is 1 over together. Okay, so now can you put the pieces in place there? So this will be 1 over x plus 1, or vice versa. You could put the x plus 1 first. It doesn't matter. And then the 6 is the together, huh? Because it says 6 hours together, and then the one more, one of those is A. It doesn't matter which is which. The order doesn't matter on A and B. There's our equation. That's not easy to solve. How do we solve that thing? Multiply through by all the denominators, top. Remember that?
Yes.
Common denominators, all 3 of those. Top. And then cancel. Yeah, so it'll be everything times. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be x. Well, I'm just going to put the 6 in front. 6x times x plus 1. That'd probably be the easiest way to write it. 6x, x plus 1. 6x, x plus 1. 6x, x plus 1. See how that has all 3 pieces in it? You could put the 6 at the back. It's just not how we normally see it. It's okay, though. You could go x plus 1, 6. That's right also. But this is more the normal look. 6x and x plus 1. See how it's all 3? Top. That's what we always do when we have denominators, right? You multiply through by the common denominator, which means everything. And then cancel whatever you can cancel. So I'm going to cancel the x. What does that leave? 6 and x plus 1. Cancel the x plus 1. What does that leave? 6 and x. Cancel the 6's. What does that leave? X and x plus 1. Is that good? No more fractions? Got rid of them all? 0. So get rid of the 12x, get rid of the 6. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So that'll all go away. And we have x squared. 1x minus 12x is minus 11x. That good to there? Oh no, quad again. So we got to do the quad and get. Can I just go dot dot? I'm just going to get nothing else done. So now just do the quad. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And well, yeah, that's what you need to do on
Did
that.
I get caught up on, so the negative 11's already a negative, and then in the formula it says negative, so do I just leave it as negative, or does it become positive?
Becomes positive. Yeah. Want me to do it? I can do it real quick.
No,
So 0. Here, I'm concerned about one other piece of it too. Minus 11x. Minus 11x minus 6. Yeah, so the quad. Negative b. So we definitely need that quad on your 3x5 card. Millions of quads. So A is 1, B is minus 11, C is minus 6. So negative B, negative 11, huh? It's negative B, and B is negative 11. So that's negative, so it's going to be positive. That's right. And then B squared minus 11 squared, B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2A. So then that'll be positive 11 plus or minus square root of 121 plus 24 all over 2. Negative times positive times negative. Yeah. $145 all over 2. They probably want an exact answer or something. What do they want? Oh, no, round to their 10th. Oh, good. They're going to let us do decimal. Let's just, this is probably what's going to be on the exam. Decimal. So just take your calculator out, hit the buttons. There's a plus option and a minus. The minus will be negative. You can forget that one. You can do it. I'll do it. I'll show you. So I'm doing 11 plus, or let me change the color here. So 11 plus the square root of 145 all over 2. I'm getting 11.5. Do they say one place? What'd they say? 10th. Yeah, one place. 11.5. Can you get that in your calculator? Make sure you can double check that real quick. You have to remember to hit equals when you're done with the numerator before you hit divide. If you just go straight to divide, it'll only divide the last number. Well, it depends on the calculator. Some of them show the fraction, so you don't have to worry about it. The other one, the 11 minus root 145 over 2, is going to be some kind of negative answer.
Wait, how do you do it?
11.52.
This comes out negative 0.52, so forget it. It can't be negative. I mean, I guess. It's work, yeah. Time can't be negative. This is how long it takes either the father or the son. It can't be negative time on that. Y'all getting that in your calculator okay?
What did you say to put the equal before the 2?
Hit the equal before you divide by 2.
I got 11.5.
I guess. It depends on the calculator. Grab me after if you have trouble getting that on the calculator. Be glad to help. They're all just a little different, so I can't really say one thing to help all. So 11.5 is our answer, but what is that? That's x, isn't it? That's solving for x. So what was the times for the father and the son? Going back to the original problem, x and x plus 1. X and x plus 1. So the answers then are x, which is 11.5, and x plus 1. Add 1 to that, you get 12.5, huh? Now, which one of those is the father and the son? Well, if you read the words again, it says, what does it say? When the son works alone, it takes him longer. So the son is the longer. So the son is the 12.5. The father's the 11.5. There we go. Does that make sense? So we're using the quad like on every problem. All right, I'm going to move. Okay, so did y'all factor it? It's nicely factorable. 5 times 9? plus like that? We good to there?
No, I forgot.
We good to there? Just factor, right? 5 times 9 is 45, add to be 14. So then what do we do when we got two of them? First one, second one like that. So negative 5, negative 9.
And then we close to find one.
We good?
What's the name of this program?
Math.
We good there? I sure hope not, because that's garbage. But I see it a ton. First off, I would ask, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? So I'm thinking of a number. It's bigger than negative 5. Okay. And it's bigger than negative 9. Well, if it's bigger than negative 5, it already is bigger than negative 9. What is that other thing even saying? This is baloney. We just stepped into la-la land. This is ridiculous, and we lost the truth. Why so? What happened?
You didn't change it to the equal sign.
Yeah, remember? So I'm doing all this because I don't want this to happen to you on the exam. I've seen tons of students do this, and what it is, something has to leap off the page, slap you in the face and say, no, I'm special. Don't just do the regular thing. What's special? There's one little symbol up there. It's different than every other symbol on this test. You'll see it on 2 questions. What is it? The greater than, less than. We had a special thing we did for greater than, less than. Remember? It's where you end up going to the number line, true, false, true, or false, true, false. Remember that? You have to do that whole thing when you have greater than. You can't just treat it like an equals. Although we will change it to equals and do some equals work. Eventually we'll go to the number line and true, false, true. So I do that little stunt to help you remember on Monday so you won't forget, because tons of students, just because it's so natural. See how natural it is because you're so used to the zero and the factoring. We do so many of them. If you're not intentional, if you don't have on your 3x5 card greater than, less than, and even the minute the exam hits your hand on Monday, I would look through. You're going to get money for this thing. I would look through and find the 2 problems that have greater than, less than. There'll be a regular one and a fraction one that have greater than, less than. Circle them or something to remind yourself that they're special. You've got to do something special on them. It's so easy to do that, isn't it? This is the kind of question we like to give. So let me write over here on the right side. When you have greater than, less than, what do you got to do? Step 1. Change to equals and solve. We have a special process. Change to equals, solve. So really so far so good, actually, if this is equals. But you can't keep it carrying through to the answer. That's the mistake people make. So negative 5, negative 9. But then step 2 is denominator alone. We don't have that this time, but we will in the next problem. Denominator alone equals 0. That's not for now. We don't have a denominator. And then step 3, you go to the number line. Right? You're going to get the true, false, true, or the false, true, false kind of thing. You check x equals 0. So you put it on the number line. You put those 2 numbers. So here we go. Negative 5 and negative 9. Just put them on the number line. That's wrong, isn't it?
Yes.
But I see that mistake as well, too. I just make all the mistakes I've seen over years, so you hopefully won't. Yeah, watch out. A lot of people just, grab whichever one's on left. It's just an easy mistake to make with your eyes. You're just hurrying on a test. Watch out. They have to be in their actual order, which we all know that's not their order. Negative 9 has to come first, right? So just watch out. Easy mistake to make, but that will mess you up. Okay, so now, I was just testing Karina here. Now we're going to check, and we can check any number we want. Easiest number in all the world? 0. So let's go to, now where is 0? Left, middle, or right sections?
Right.
Yeah, 0's over here, because those are negative numbers, huh? So I'm going to check x equals, now whenever we check anything in math, where do we check? The original. Whoops, I changed the original. What was the original? It was greater than. Okay. That's important. Greater than. So check the original. X squared plus 14x plus 45 greater than or equal to 0. Put in a 0. Put in a 0. That would just be 45. The x stuff will just drop out if you plug in a 0. That's why 0 is so easy to work with. 45 is greater than or equal to 0. Is that true or false? That's true. So this is a true section, false in the middle, true in the front. True, false, true. So our answer then is the true sections, of course. It's always about the truth. So the true section is here, and the true section is here. So how do you say this first true section over here?
Negative infinity.
Yeah, negative infinity to negative 9, united with negative 5 to infinity. Oh, yeah. We had the bar, so that with the bar comes the bracket, right? Yeah, on the numbers. So on the negative 9 and on the negative 5 should be brackets. Thank you. Right, because the equals, if you have the bar bracket, BB, bar bracket. If you have the bar, it can be equals, it can be right on the number, bracket, right on the edge. Never for an infinity. Of course, you can never be right on infinity. So the answer is those whole ranges of answers, isn't it? Does that make sense there? Questions on that? See how different that is than that crazy thing I did a minute ago where I just tried to say, oh, they're both just greater than. No, it turns out this one is backwards. Or no, actually this one's backwards. It's less than negative 9 in reality. That was just illogical what we did there. Okay, so, all right. Let's go to the next. All right, let's try that one. Same kind of thing, greater than, less than. There'll be, but this one's the fraction one, right? So let's go through those same 4 steps. Step 1, change to equals and solve. Step 2, denominator alone equals 0 and solve. Step 1, change to equals, solve. So if you change that to equals, how are you going to solve that? Cross multiply, yeah. Put the 1 over 1, diagonal. So 1 times x plus 4 is 1 times x minus 2. We have x on opposite sides, so subtract x from both sides, and the problem falls apart. So there's no answer from step 1. See how the x's both vanished? Are we good so far? When the x's vanish, there's no answer from step 1. We're not done with the whole problem. We still have to go on to step 2. There will be an answer from step 2, and we'll take that to the number line. But y'all see how we got no answer in step 1 because the x's vanished when we subtracted x from both sides? Both are gone. So go on to step 2. Step 2 is denominator alone equals 0. So grab just the denominator, nothing else in all the world, just the denominator alone equals 0. So x is 2. So that's the only answer. We didn't get any answers out of part 1, step 1. So now the only answer we have is from step 2, x is 2. Now go to the number line, and we're only going to put the 2 on the number line. That's all we got. So step 3 is the number line. So I put the number line, and all I've got is the 2. It's the only answer I have. So I got to check. So it's either going to be true, false, or false, true. There's only 2 sides, huh? There's not 3 sides this time. It's either true, false, or false, true. So I'm going to check for power, check for truth. Easiest number in all the world, 0, which is right here on the left side. Check x is 0. So plug in 0 to the original equation. X plus 4 over x minus 2 less than 1. Plug in the 0. 4 over negative 2 less than 1. So that's negative 2 is less than 1. Is that true or is that false? Yeah, negatives, numbers are less than positive 1. Yeah, so that's true. The other side is false. So the answer we're looking for is this true section. How do we say it? Negative infinity to 2. Parentheses on everything because we never had a bar. Negative infinity to 2. All the numbers from negative infinity up to 2. We good there? So I feel like you'll get both those greater than, less than questions on Monday's test. Longest time. So look at that one. So there's going to be some graphing, probably 2 or 3 graph problems. Well, 2 or 3 U-shapes. So this is going to be a quadratic, a U-shape parabola. So it's going to be a U-shape. So remember, we learned one strategy when there's parentheses squared. That's the easier kind. And then when we do number 11, in a minute, there's no parentheses squared. We've got to do something else. So I want to just remind you of those 2 techniques. You want to put them on your 3x5 card. So when you have parentheses squared, you just, remember what you do? How do you find the center in that case?
Opposite, middle, same.
Opposite, same. So the center is going to be the opposite of this number next to x. So that'd be positive 4. And same as the number out there, positive 3. Opposite, same. That quick, you've got the vertex, which is the center of the U-shape. So right 4, up 3, it's right here. Right 4, up 3. There's the center of the U-shape. Okay, and now, they're asking for the axis of symmetry. That's always just x equals the x-axis, the x-coordinate of the center. That's the line that goes through the middle of the U. Let's do the graph first, and then that'll make more sense. Let's do the graph. So I've got the center of the U-shape, 4, 3. That's the center. Now, how do you, let me bring it down here. This is y equals minus 4, x minus 4 squared plus 3. So what do we do to make the graph from here? Do you remember?
Rise over run.
Yeah, this is slope in the front. Put it over 1. It's rise over run. So from the center, it's going to rise negative 4, which means it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and right 1, left 1. So there it is. Does that make sense? So that number in the front is always the slope. It's the rise or run. So positive, it goes up. Negative, it goes down. And then always right 1, left 1. So negative 4 means from the center, go down 4, right 1, left 1. Those are your 2 dots. Connect your dots. So I went right to there and right to there. Right 1, left 1. Went down 4, straight down 4 from the center, and then right 1, left 1. So that, and then do you see why the axis of symmetry is this line going right through the middle? That's x equals 4. That's the symmetry line, the line that goes through the x-axis right through the center at 4. That's the line that spears through the middle of the U-shape. It's the line of symmetry.
It's a pointed dotted?
No.
This a dotted line?
Solid line down the middle?
It's broken.
Do they make it that? Yeah. There's no math rule that says it has to be broken, or they might do something on Math Excel for display purposes, but there's no math rule that it has to be any particular thing. Yeah, they might put it dotted. Yeah, they probably put it dotted just because they're saying it's not actually part of the graph. It's just something we're looking at. Yeah, they probably do make it dotted for that reason. All right, let's do the last one. Here we are graphing another U shape, but this time there's no parentheses squared. So there'll be both on the exam Monday. So when you have no parentheses squared, you cannot do the opposite same thing, because, right, look back, the opposite was the opposite of the number in the parentheses, wasn't it? And I don't even have parentheses this time. Does everybody see the difference? If you've got the parentheses, then you do the opposite of the number in the parentheses and the same as the other number. But if you don't even have parentheses, you can't do that. We can't do opposite same because we don't even have parentheses. Okay, so then how do we find the center?
Negative b over 2a.
Boom. You got to have that formula on your 3x5 card. Exactly. It's going to be x is negative b over 2a. It's the outside of the quadratic formula. It's the quadratic formula without the plus or minus root part, huh? So a, b, and c. What's a? Negative 1. B is 8. So x is negative b, negative 8 over 2 times a. 2 times negative 1. X is negative 8 over negative 2. X is 4. So x is 4. So we got x. That's the x coordinate of the center. Now how do we get the y coordinate? Plug it in. Exactly. Plug it in. Because remember, this f is y. So we have y equals minus x squared plus 8x minus 7. Put in the 4. Put in the 4. Now remember, when you plug it in, put parentheses around it. And you get minus 16 plus 32 minus 7. Is it 9? So y is 9. So it's 4, 9. Over 4, up 9. There it is. There's the center of the U shape. Over 4, up 9. Where does it go from there? Yeah, the slope, negative 1 over 1. Rise. So it's going to go down 1. And then always right 1, left 1. There's the graph. So you see how we get the center a different way. A different way when we don't have the parentheses square. We do negative b over 2a. That's our x. Once we get x of 4, plug it in to find y. And the rest is the same for the slope. We're out of time, but they ask about intercepts, x-intercepts, y-intercepts. You're going to have to look back at that and how you find intercepts. You make the opposite letter 0. X-intercepts make y 0, y-intercepts make x 0, and solve and do all that stuff.